Welcome in to another episode of the Armchair Illini Podcast. My name's Alex, owner of Armchair Illini, here with my very good friend Robby Nardini. We're in the middle of an Illinois basketball offseason, but we got news today that Illinois will start a home-and-home series with the Duke Blue Devils starting in the 2026 to 2027 season. The first game will be at Cameron Indoor on November 17th, and then there will be a return game in Champaign. That's going to be a lot of fun during the 2027-2028 season. So Illinois is continuing to really schedule some very, very fun opponents. They're rematching the Yukon Huskies at the United Center this season as well. We're here to talk about our thoughts on that and more here on the Armchair Illini Podcast. As always, if you're new here, like this video and subscribe. Shout out to our first sponsor, Campus Inc.'s official NIL store. Get officially licensed merch from your favorite Illinois athletes, whether that's Jake Davis, the Avicic twins, David Mirkovic, Andrei Stojakovic, and more. Just use code Armchair Illini for 15% off of your order. That is code Armchair Illini for 15% off your order. Robby, you got a busy couple days ahead of you, don't you? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Couple days till we go to Italy. Definitely looking forward to that. But I've been podcasting a few times this week. I told Sasha no podcasting in Italy, but we'll see what type of news gets dropped there. But I'm doing good. I love the schedule news. I tweeted the other day that I'm the SpongeBob meme at the coffee shop because we weren't getting any schedule news, but we finally got some, and it doesn't get much better than the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, we'll definitely miss you during your 2 weeks. Maybe we can get you, with the lake in the background. Me and Austin were talking about how it was kind of selfish that you didn't have your wedding in the Balkans, so we can, send you straight to the source. But Illinois is going to play the Duke Blue Devils. This is really fun. Illinois did play Duke a couple times in the past few years. We won't talk about the last time that these teams faced off at Madison Square Garden. It was a complete beatdown. But they also played Duke in 2021 during the COVID year when Ayo Dosunmu, Georgi Bishanishvili, Kofi Coburn went absolutely crazy. When you heard about this news about a home and home with the Duke Blue Devils, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it's awesome, especially Duke, the biggest brand in the entire sport. And I also glad to hear it's a home and home. I think college basketball media, college basketball people in general are looking for home and homes. Play these games on campus. Students deserve to be there, and the environments are just better overall. So I know we played in Cameron Indoor in 2020. In the 2020-2021 season, I believe it was the Big Ten ACC Challenge, and I think it was 83-68. We ended up beating them in Cameron. Duke wasn't that great that year, surprisingly, but hopefully we can do the same. The environment will be a little bit different with the Cameron Crazies there in full effect.
Yeah, I mean, this is just such a good opportunity for Illinois to finally travel to Cameron Indoor and play amongst a really, really raucous Duke crowd. It's going to be a top 5, top 10 matchup. Right now, Duke is number 3 in John Rothstein's top 45. Illinois is number 2. Duke brings back a lot of very interesting pieces, including Dame Sarr. They're expected to bring back Caleb Fosper and Patrick Nagangwa, if I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, you got
But this is the Illinois versus John Blackwell part, etc. John Blackwell absolutely torched Illinois last year in both of those games that they played. Obviously, Illinois was interested in John Blackwell, but that ended up not working out. So both teams are going to be really good, and I expect them to be good during the 27-28 season too when they come to the State Farm Center. So I'm just really excited because they continue to schedule these really nice matchups. And I agree with you. It's better that they play these games in front of students and on campus as opposed to, Illinois going to Maui or, the Battle for Atlantis. As cool as those are, it doesn't really reward the fans. And, it's really tough to play 3 games in 3 days, things like that. And I think Brad is kind of moving away from that. You saw early in his career, they went to Maui, went to some different tournaments, but now, they're just scheduling home and homes with really, really good opponents. They did that with Texas Tech. They're doing that with Duke now. Tennessee, they did that, and they might do that again in the future. And there might be another ACC opponent on the schedule this year as well. So I really like these home and homes, and I'm really excited for them to keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's nice to do the home and homes. Underwood definitely doesn't like the traditional MTEs, similar to Dan Hurley going out to Maui. And I think both teams, different years, but both Hurley and Underwood went 0-3 out there, and they expressed their frustrations with having to go all the way out there and and play 3 games in 3 days. But recently, Brad's been talking about he'll fly anywhere to play anyone. So we'll see if that remains true. I think he's scheduling like an absolute madman this year. That's kind of what happens when you make the Final Four and your job security is at an all-time high. I think maybe newer coaches or coaches on the hot seat will schedule a little bit more conservatively, but we are playing some really good teams. Duke is the best of the best. So we have 2 true road games with Texas Tech and Duke. Can't really beat those environments. I would love to go to both of those games. I don't know how realistic it is to go to Cameron Indoor on a Tuesday night, but I think that's number 1 bucket list of any sport for me. So I might have to make the trip out there.
Yeah, November 17th, 2026, like you said, Tuesday night. So it should be a really, really fun game. We talked about a preview for Illinois versus UConn when the news dropped. Obviously, that game is December 4th at the United Center Friday night. That's going to be a lot of fun. But let's kind of preview the Duke Illinois matchup. What are your thoughts on the Blue Devils? Obviously, they have some key decisions to wait on, as a lot of their guys are at the NBA draft combine. Like Illinois has one major decision too. But what are your thoughts about the Duke Blue Devils heading into the 2026-27 season?
Yeah, they'll be amazing again. I know they fell short of expectations last year. Everyone thought they would make the Final Four as a number 1 seed. And John Shire has been amazing since he took over as a head coach. They made the Sweet 16. He's kind of built up into what they are now. They made a Sweet 16 and they made the Elite Eight, ended up losing to NC State. Then they finally made the Final Four, where they should have probably won it all. And then last year, you could argue they probably should have won that UConn game. So still some proving that Duke needs to do and Shire needs to do, but they'll be amazing again. Like you said, they got Sarr back. Caleb Foster should be back. Isaiah Evans is probably going to stay in the draft. They got John Blackwell, and Cameron Williams is a really good freshman coming in too. Plus, they got Cayden Boozer, of course, not Cameron, who's going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. But, Cayden's a really good player, should be a 4-year guy at Duke. And looks like they're at 58.9% of returning minutes. So they're actually a little bit ahead of Illinois. So you're talking about how good our retention has been this offseason. Duke is right there with us at one of the best returning minutes wise in Power 5. And they're actually number 1 in Bart Torvik's rankings right now. He does a really way too early 2027 rankings. We're a little bit too low for my liking at number 11, but Duke is number 1, projected to be the number 1 offense and defense. So I think they're going to be one of the best teams in all of college basketball. Similar to UConn, will be a major test. It was a little bit tougher playing on the road. I know we both lean towards us against UConn, just being on a neutral site, especially in the United Center. I think it's hard to kind of lean our way for this game. But like you said, it's going to be a top 5 matchup, one of the best matchups in the entire season, I think. And we talk about non-conference scheduling. John Shire is one of the best too. You kind of have to in the ACC nowadays, but they play UConn a week later after us in Vegas, which I'll likely be at. So they're scheduling like crazy too, and that's great to see.
Yeah, it's definitely battle of the brands here, and Illinois is doing a great job getting some big time brands and big time road environments for their guys to play in. It's really cool because November 17th, that's very, very early in the season. I think the Texas Tech game last year was pretty early on, like November 11th, something like that. So Illinois is going to figure out who they are pretty early in the season, and this is a big test for all the returning guys. And guys like Quentin, Coleman, Stefan, Vaaks, all the newcomers are going to have to settle in really early if Illinois wants to have a chance. Because, like you said, Duke is bringing back a lot of really, really good talent. As much as they're losing in terms of Cam Boozer, Malik Brown, Isaiah Evans, but like you said, they got Cam Williams, Dami Sarr, John Blackwell's likely going to come back to college. He's a proven bucket getter. I think it's going to be a little bit tough for Illinois to beat Duke on the road early in the season. And I think matchup wise, in terms of stopping a guy like John Blackwell and other pieces in the Duke backcourt, it's going to be really tough. It's a tough ask because who's going to guard John Blackwell? Is it going to be Andre? Is it going to be Quentin Coleman? It's tough to kind of iron those things out. If you put Andre on Blackwell, who's going to guard Dami Sarr, Cam Williams, and all those guys? So I think matchup wise, it's going to be really tough for Illinois. But again, we're 6 months out, so this is just a very, very premature preview of that. What's the coolest arena that you've been to? Speaking of, Cameron Indoor.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like I said, Duke is on the bucket list at Cameron Indoor for sure. A Duke North Carolina game at Cameron, it's almost impossible to get a ticket. And if I was on my deathbed, I think I'd make sure to go to one of those games before I took it. But I think it's a tough one. I've been to a lot of Big Ten schools. I haven't been to Assembly Hall. I have been inside, but I haven't been to a game, so I'm not really counting that one. We randomly went to Grand Canyon with Arizona, which was a crazy environment. I don't know. I guess like Mackey Arena is probably like the best environment that I was in. And it's kind of like old school with a bunch of just like benches, it seems like, and the student section goes up a long way. I do really like Maryland's too. I think that's an underrated one. I know they've been bad, so the stadium hasn't been filled up, but they have like a Clippers type like fan wall, like it's like European soccer where it's like very very steep. Everyone was wearing the same shirts when we were playing there, so that's up there for me too. But I've been to a decent amount of the Big Ten ones besides Indiana, Minnesota, and Nebraska, I think. So definitely got to make it out to those ones. But I think I lean Purdue and Maryland for basketball wise.
Yeah, the that Grand Canyon arena, I feel like it looks cool, but being in there would probably give me a headache because it's just techno music just constantly blaring. People are jumping up and down. I've seen YouTube videos of the entrances. I feel like it would just give me a major headache to be there and then just sit through that crowd noise the entire time. And you're trying to focus on a basketball game, so a little bit overstimulating for someone like me. So again, looking really looking forward to Illinois versus Duke. I'm still mad at Duke because I picked them to win last year, and Cayden Boozer throwing the ball away, Braylon Mullins. It would have been fun to see this Illinois team play Duke and try
Mhm.
to match up Merkovich versus Cam Boozer, things like that. That would have been really cool. But wanted to ask you, Illinois has scheduled some really cool opponents, like we've been saying, Tennessee, Texas Tech, now Duke. And just to kind of think about all the different, non-conference opponents that they've played, even like at places like Texas, they played Virginia, a lot of cool brands. What's been your favorite non-conference matchup that Illinois has set up? I would say let's exclude Duke because Duke is pretty cool, and getting to go to Cameron Indoor is pretty cool. But outside of Duke, what's been your favorite?
Yeah, Duke is super cool. Even playing Duke and MSG or UConn and MSG, the mecca of all basketball arenas, was super cool. I got to go to the Duke game at MSG. Of course, we lost by a million, so it wasn't as good. But I was also at the UCLA game in Vegas, and I think that was a really cool one. The vibes were really high in Vegas to start the game, and then we were down 39-24 at half, and I think the vibes were incredibly low, and people were debating leaving, and then TSJ ended up having a huge game. We ended up coming back and winning, and it was pretty much just like a home game in Vegas, which was cool. And I think that's the coolest part about these non-conference games. I think Underwood does a really good job of scheduling them at places that people like want to go to. So like Nashville, New York, obviously United Center is an easy one, and St. Louis. So just like good destinations where people can go. So UCLA is up there for me just because I was there and in attendance. I think the Tennessee one's pretty cool. It's kind of like a little rivalry that we've kind of put together. We played them 3 times. Going to play them a 4th time next season in the United Center. So that's a cool one, and hopefully we'll see North Carolina too, which would be an awesome one. I wouldn't mind seeing like Louisville and Kentucky on the list. Kind of keep those games within the Midwest, but it's hard to say. I think the home and homes are cool too. So going to Texas Tech would be awesome. I prefer the home and homes, and it's hard to beat, Duke and UConn and hopefully North Carolina, just the biggest brands in basketball.
Yeah, that TSJ game, I think I've written about it a couple times. The 29 points, he was going absolutely crazy. I think he had like 8 threes,
Yeah.
and he was just swishing all of those threes just time after time. That was the moment where everyone was like, "Hey, TSJ is pretty legit." Yeah, my favorite is definitely Texas Tech, just because I'm a big Grant McCastle fan. Christian Anderson was a lot of fun. JT Toppin, obviously they're going to be new look this year. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn is going to be a fun little matchup for Illinois. So, yeah, just overall very excited. I think it's a little bit too early for a game day prediction in terms of a score, but it sounds like we're both probably going to pick Duke to beat Illinois, especially early in the season, and the way that the matchup is looking. Am I correct in that one?
Yeah, I'll lean Duke just being in Cameron Indoor. I'm sure Duke hasn't lost a ton of games in their building. I don't have the specific stat, but I'm sure they lose like one, maybe two games at home every single season. It's nice to see they're kind of doing these home and homes. They did it against Michigan State last year for the first time in years, going to play a true road game, and now we get to go to Cameron. Plus, when we host them, I'll for sure be there. It is a Saturday game, which was nice. But I do lean Duke. I think the schedule is shaping up to be amazing, though. I think if you are considering the rumors of the two other games, we got six, quad one games, and there is an extra game this year going up to 32 games. So hopefully, maybe we'll get 7 quad one games and maybe 5 bye games. We'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, I lean Duke in this one. But like you said, we got a lot of time till we get there. And Duke might be the first, real good team we play. We'll see when we end up playing Texas Tech, but I think the season starts November 2nd, so we'll have a couple games under our belt before we play against the Blue Devils.
What's one matchup that the schedule needs? Because we're talking about Duke, UConn, Texas Tech, possibly an ACC opponent that you mentioned. Hopefully that comes to fruition. What else is this? And Mizzou, that's an SCT program. I think this team might be missing something from the Big 12.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get Houston.
Oh, Texas Tech. Yeah,
we got Texas Tech, but hoping to get Houston. I think they're working on getting a game with Houston. It's not official or anything, but hopefully we get that. We still need like a Thanksgiving game, and I was kind of doing like a process of elimination, like who's in players era, who's in Battle for Atlantis, like who are we going to play on Thanksgiving or Black Friday, like we have the past couple seasons. I think Houston would be a great one, and I would love to see Florida or Kansas. We'll see if how many games we're going to schedule against these quad one opponents, but we did Florida in that secret scrimmage last year, and of course we did Kansas in the exhibition a couple years ago too. No way Bill Self comes back to Illinois, but hopefully we can get a neutral site game with them or Florida. But I think North Carolina and Houston should hopefully be on the schedule for us.
Yeah, Illinois Gonzaga, I feel like would be kind of fun. Maybe like a West Coast team, something like that. But
Arizona too would be sweet.
Arizona would be a lot of fun too. Brad Underwood versus Tommy Lloyd, two of the hottest coaches in college basketball. If the news does come, we're here to talk about it here on the Armchair Illini Podcast. If you're new here, like this video and subscribe. We're going to keep chugging out content for you guys here on the off season for Illinois basketball and football. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Again, shout out to Campus Aches official NIL store. Use our code Armchair Illini for 15% off of your order. When news comes, we'll be talking about it. Appreciate you guys again, and we'll see you guys soon. ILL.